welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com's weekend frivolities, the Broiler Chicken Show. Bark, bark, bark. Yoo-hoo. Actually, well, it's a nice summer day. Yeah, looks like it'll be a half decent drive in the countryside for Lily and I this afternoon. So, hope you all maybe wish us best of luck at the beginning of the show, and it carries on through this afternoon. Looks like we got a few people in the, what is this, Zoom thing? Yeah, a few people over there on YouTube. In the Zoom call, thank you. Already wishing me best of luck. TBG Crypto here. TBG Crypto is turning into one of our biggest cheerleaders of late. Glad to see he drank the punch, ate the Kool-Aid. How does that go? Anyway. We have Glass Insights, if that is your real name. Bart Simpson here as usual. We've got AI in the house. Hello, AI. Fuck you. I love that. That's such a cool expression. TBG goes, I've been applying the process. And I tell you, if you just follow the rules, big house. Hey, the setup failed. If it's one thing that Brian loves to do, he likes to follow the rules. And when the setup fails, I got to walk. So sadly, I walked. But good luck if you're still in there. The point for me is there should be absolutely no emotion, no emotional attachment to any trade ever. We'll give you a nice little piece of tidbit information for your journal right off the bat. No one trade should ever even send you to distraction. And if it does, then that means you're risking too much money. I tried to count the other day how many trades I've done over my career, and I think I lost count somewhere around 50 or 60,000. Just absolutely insane amount of trades I've done over my career. So, one setup versus another setup versus another setup. So what? If anything, I'm a statistician. And as a result, I actually expect to be wrong. Expect to be told by the marketplace your thesis sucks. At least a good 30% of the time. I expect that. Sucks. Don't get me wrong. But if you actually set yourself up with the expectation of not being right 100% of the time, and then understanding that there is definitely a behavioral pattern around being wrong and making darn sure you behave yourself when you are proven wrong by the market, that's actually the difference, in my opinion, between a professional trader and an amateur. The amateur, I mean, it's kind of like that silly Trump tout, his dumb kid telling everybody buy Ethereum at 3 G's and it goes right down to $1,500. Boom. Nice one. And hell, I could probably sit here for 2 hours laying into Taco and his criminal con job family. But I suppose we have better uses of our time. I do see, though, on social media, wow, is he ever taking a lot of heat over this Epstein stuff. It'll be fascinating to see how all that plays out. But anyway, the soap opera goes on. But as TBG pointed out, and that's where I guess I got distracted. If you just follow the rules, all you got to do is follow the rules. Try and work with some sort of algorithmic process. And the irony of it all is that for 15 years, I've basically told everybody in these public broadcasts what the rules are. It's as plain as day. And yet it's remarkable. People will even pay me money to learn how to trade. And then I talk to them a month or two later and they break the rules. And it's like, you break the rules, you're just asking for trouble. I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough gray hair. Maybe I need to be a bit balder. I don't know, but I don't get it. But anyway, two rules. You want to give this right off the bat, right out of the gate. So you get some value for this time spent with me right out, because you never know when this stuff drops. And you're all supposed to have your journals in front of you, just feverishly taking notes. Rule number one, try and work with some sort of algorithmic process. If, the Boolean logic, if this condition and that condition and another condition. Ideally, I like for people to have three unrelated reasons to justify taking a trade. Your Boolean logic can have all the rules you want. And really, the only point of adding more and more conditions is just to simply help your subconscious, not get freaked out while you're actually putting yourself into a risky situation. Keep in mind, risking money in the marketplace is, obviously, taking risks with your own life and your health is quite a bit different. But a lot of people actually, they actually put more value on their net wealth versus even their own personal health, probably me included. So I probably am more risk averse when it comes to my money than I am with my health. In fact, I'm going to go out and have a stogie right after this. So, rule number one, try and work with some sort of darn algorithmic process. It's really that simple. I teach two particular setups that I've used now. The first setup that I learned way back when in the 1980s. I mean, God, what decade are we in now? 20s? It's got to be near 40 years ago I learned that. Always give these setups colorful names to try and help you all in the public remember them. I suppose we could call them double tops and double bottoms with 50% retracements. Boring. El Tangonator. The only reason why I gave it that name, when I first started 10, 15 years ago, we used to have a guy who lived in LA, in Hollywood, and his name was Nick. And so we called the setup the Hollywood Nick. I don't care. Just any way to help you all remember more colorful names always helps. Anyway, that setup works about a good 60, 70% of the time. And I think if you can shoot in that sort of 2/3 accuracy, and you get paid commensurately when you're right versus when you're wrong, you'll make all the money you ever need. And then, in fact, actually I even tweeted out a trend continuation trade setup that I teach everybody, the bot. And I even got funded as a prop trader, just exclusively trading the bot years and years and years ago. So it works just as well today as it did then. So, try and figure out some sort of algorithmic approach to your trading. And I will say that I think the Briggs Stratton guys, or whatever that name is, I think they have like 16 different personality types. So we're not all completely different, but we definitely fall into different sort of categories based on things like when you were born. That often dictates sort of your mental disposition with regard to things like risk, romance, and all that kind of fun stuff. So I think a big part, and what I like to do with all new people, is say, you know what, you got to go take the personality test, figure out who you are as an individual. Then once we figure out what type of person you are, then you have to go through the process of sort of building out your professional sort of, like when I coach people privately in the level 3 program, I talk about your trader workbench. What does that workbench have to look like? Do you like using specific resources? Obviously, if you're just strictly crypto oriented, having a whole bunch of legacy media stuff on your workbench is kind of useless. So you definitely have to, customize what your workbench looks like for you, and articulate your setups, articulate your risk management strategy, articulate what your typical day looks like. And in fact, actually, level threeers, I insist that they fill out report cards. Actually, every the report card itself has all of the different categories of problems that people face when they come to trying to build a small business of trading with the expectation of actually turning a profit. I mean, it's one thing to go in and just gamble, and everybody can go to Vegas and roll the dice. And of course, they want to win, but ironically enough, when Vegas, the odds are actually stacked against you. So I definitely, in fact, I remember one time I took a trip down to LA. My family used to live in LA. I had to stop off in Reno, and I remember I was on the flight with this cute girl, and we got off, and well, actually, we didn't, but that's another conversation. And she was just all excited about go to play the slots. Play the slots. I want to play the slots. Gotta gamble. Gotta gamble. And I know by definition what the statistical odds are at gambling and doing things like playing slot machines. So it's like this is a total waste of time. But you can't say that, right? Because then that's a total buzzkill. So it's like, yeah, go for it, yeah. But I wasn't going to spend any money. Anyway, blah blah blah. So ideally, that rule number one, you really want to try and make sure that whatever your algorithmic process is, that you've vetted it enough that you actually see the statistical validity of using the particular setup. And actually, it's interesting. Trading buddy of mine right now and I are working away on iron condor strategy, and actually both of us are quite surprised at the percentage win rate of these iron condors. It's incredibly high. So pleasantly surprised. And when you trade options, it's completely different than just going in and just buy or sell something. There's a whole bunch of moving parts. But it just goes to show that, there is an algorithmic process that we're developing with regard to this particular strategy. And we're idiots if we don't follow the process. It's just that simple. So it doesn't really matter what product you're trading. What you're really doing is you're just simply saying, look, I'm running a business here. The business has to have some sort of fundamental framework, and I need to be able to have a data set that I can actually go back and audit and confirm that actually what I'm doing is working. Because if you go in and you're like, oh, one day I'll take a trade off an RSI signal. Next day, screw RSI. I'm going to use a MACD. Next day, I heard this guy on YouTube loves moving averages. And now I'm doing that. Oh, no, there's Tom to mark things the best. And you're just hopping from one indicator to another and different trading strategies and the whole thing. You're really actually just spinning your wheels. The only way that you can really track whether you're getting any better is you have to come up with one model and plug in a whole bunch of statistical inputs just to actually even see, number one, can you do the model consistently without making mistakes? And then number two, is the model even statistically relevant? Anyway, that's the whole sort of nitty gritty part of running a business of trading. I think most of you that watch my videos and watch my content, I think you understand. I'm not the fluffy, silly, glitzy. I guarantee you by the end of this crypto cycle, we're probably going to have those idiots going and doing things like raffling off Rolex watches to their audience as a way to generate viewers of their videos and their channel content. And of course, everybody's got a goddamn course on how to get rich in crypto. The waving around Rolex watches and stuff like that, that's their sales pitch. And I'm just not that type of person. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to boringly bark at you at what best practices are. And really, the only way I can justify barking at you, best practices are this, and you should do this, is if you actually see me doing what I'm trying to teach all of you. So, and the good part about it is when you follow the process, wonderful things can happen. I mean, this funny little Joby, which I've been joking about, it's our market of note this week. I've been sitting on this silly warrant for a couple of years here, just doing nothing, but it doesn't expire for the next couple of years. So there's really no hurry. And I just let the market work, let the market work. Then pop, as soon as it in this case it tripled, which is awfully a nice treat. Out goes half, get all my money back. Now I've got a risk-free position. And this is the core that I teach you, what TBG was talking about there with the process. I definitely think that, I mean, ironically enough, is there a tougher position to be in than have to sit there and decide, okay, when am I going to take profits on my trades? Oh, what a tough life. But believe it or not, even taking profits and exiting, you need to have a process. You need to have everything all vetted out ahead of time so that when the market does start moving, and of course, your emotions are all going to be triggered because, hey, things are going crazy. You better have a plan, right? You've got to have a plan. So anyway, just following my plan, got paid rather nicely on this funny little warrant. Next bus in 10 minutes, slow and steady wins a race. Actually, I spent probably the past 6 months or so just accumulating in crypto. Got to the point where 2 or 3 weeks ago, I actually ran out of dry powder. I had literally spent up all of my money, which very rarely happens. So I had to suffer there about a week or two where I had no more dry powder and we're just waiting. How long does it take for this damn market to go? And now all of a sudden things are popping and doubles are being booked. And now I've got a whole bunch of cash. And actually, I went in. One thing I absolutely love about our community is there's never a dearth for ideas. There's always a bull somewhere, as they say. So in crypto, I do believe that we're now entering back into that phase of the market where we should see quite a bit of profits here. So that's encouraging. It's not going to last forever. And sadly, when you actually start hearing the public coming in talking about how easy it is to make money in this space and everybody's getting rich and everybody's got their own favorite coin that they're going to say it's going to go 100x, blah, 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 blah. You'd be an idiot not to be long. That's when I have to get the fuck out. And I do believe that our cycle analysis has kept us on the straight and narrow. We've been following, of course, anybody who follows me knows these crypto cycles. And I, just go and watch previous Broiler Chicken Show. I know a lot of people that they actually teach themselves how to trade just simply watching all my free content. I think I'm just going to keep, if anything, I actually would like to be more free going forward in the future. So I think I'll probably do these free shows on YouTube. I don't see any reason why I should stop. And actually, I'm looking forward to actually doing like educational programs and stuff on YouTube completely free. I think that's probably the best use of my time, especially with you. It's probably really hard for you to grasp this, but I really do want to just try and make a positive difference in this world. We don't monetize any of this stuff. I'm terrible at marketing. I'll swear like a son of a bitch. which of course excludes a lot of the, sort of mainstream marketing shill. I certainly don't like having sponsors that hang over your head saying, oh, you can't say that and you can't say this. So it's not like I'm making any money, you know. These broiler chicken shows, I mean, I've been consistently doing these weekend shows for like a decade now, easily, probably 2 decades. Um, and this is my way of giving back, right? Just trying to help spread the word. I think if anything, want to concentrate more on free content for the public. Whether you use it to your best advantage, well, that's up to you. But this is my way of trying to help out. So anyway, um, I mean, I absolutely love this study. Gentleman by the name of Neck of the Pencil. I think that's what his mother called him the moment he came out of the womb. He clued me into this. In fact, actually, and I even saw Ben Check in the lounge typing. So I guess he's on the Discord. I didn't actually see him personally, but back last cycle, and we had another guy that were doing those weekly crypto shows. And literally he disappeared after I was like, well, the bull market's over. We have to go back and just tread water for the next year or two. He's like, you know what? I'll come back in easy mode. It's funny. I think his name was Nick, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, Nick, you better. I haven't seen him at all since. I don't know where he is. I hope he's doing okay. Remember, he said he was building a house the last time I talked to him. Anyway, easy mode is actually just about ending here. So, but I did see guys like Ben Check on the site because he's a big fan of Litecoin, and I think Litecoin is taking off here, so that's good for him. But this is the market where stuff should lift, and then once we get on the other side of this cycle pivot here, be careful. I don't know whether we'll have house changing events. Derek, yeah, Derek was also on the show. I haven't heard from Derek in quite some time. I'm still long his stock, that Franklin Wireless. I won't sell it because I like to see it in my retirement account just so it reminds me and I think of him. But yeah, he was also doing that show. That was fun. Nice to see you too, Nori. So, this is the environment where you could make some serious money over the next, let's say, 3 or 4 months. Ironically enough, as you can sort of see, although we didn't really have it here, the actual final push into that 1.382 was a bit of a muted event. Of course, Alan was in the space fucking everything up. I hope to God that guy stays out. I doubt he will, but in fact, I think I even heard him barking about Bitcoin recently. But anyway, the last time Taco was president, actually, you can see what Bitcoin did in just its last few weeks of bull market, right? You can see from here that low, right? From the low that we made there, that was November 6th to the high here of December 18th. The price literally went from like 5,000 up to almost 20,000, a fourfold increase in that last month. And in a weird sort of way, I think that's what's going to happen here. Because you notice the price action here is what they call the long, slow grind of death. And when you see that, and really, if you're in a bear market, we call it the long, slow grind of death. But the point here is that this is really boring price action and it's higher highs and higher lows. But when are we going to get to the fireworks factory kind of idea? You notice that if you get into one of these market states where you're in the long, slow grind of death, usually markets go parabolic into the end of their moves. And that also implies to the downside too. In fact, in futures trading and stuff, we call this the part where the market is puking out. And I suppose you could puke out to the upside as well. I don't know but especially if you're short, right? And you see the market just grinding away here and it's driving you crazy lower. And then at the end of the move, it just absolutely dumps. Well, same thing in bulls. And that's basically what this image is here, where you had this long protracted period where we're just like higher highs and higher lows, but no life-changing events. And then as we get into the end of the cycle, the goddamn market just goes straight up here into the end. So that's actually what I'm expecting. And considering it's the same damn president that was involved here now, well, why wouldn't it do the same? And he's the same used car salesman as he was there. This was all about the CME listing of the Bitcoin futures contracts. And those CME boys did very, very well off of that event. Can you see the long, slow grind of death here? I mean, I don't know. Anybody? Can you see that? And usually the way these moves end is the market goes parabolic. I don't know where it's going to top out here. My hunch is probably around this 38.2. But the end of these events are usually just like face rip moves. And that's the point at which, when the market just grinds higher like this, right? That's the point at which the public then flips and says, well, this isn't risky. Look at it every single day. And of course, people will make upside targets and they'll go blowing right through those targets. And I'm hearing a lot of chatter about guys are saying, I've been in here 15 years and now I'm selling the whole damn thing and getting out and taking a gazillion dollars. Way to go. That's awesome. But as long as there are people actually publicly barking that they're selling, then we're still in the long, slow grind of death phase. When we get into that phase where you turn on any social media and they're all telling you, hey, you want to get rich, you better get in there and buy crypto, life-changing events, all that kind of talk. Well, that's the sign of the end of the move. So I think we're still in long, slow grind of death phase. What's interesting is if you actually pick this apart, I don't know whether I have it on this chart though. No, not this one. But another chart that I had, I guess, on my laptop. You could actually, and maybe I can do this here. I don't know whether I can or not. That's a weekly, and that's, well, maybe this one. BTC. What was this? Oh, I see. Okay. Maybe it's on this one. Let's see. Nope. Oh well. Let's see if I can just show you quickly. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Oh, where is that? There it is. Douche gone. All right. Daily maybe. Yeah. Okay. So can you see how this pivot low, maybe here? I don't know. That one looks like a half decent pivot low. This pivot low was a distance roughly. And notice this pivot low was a fraction of that distance. 2/3. Then this pivot low, hopefully you can see what's happening here. As you can see that the moves are compressing as we get closer and closer and closer to that cycle pivot. I wouldn't actually be surprised if you actually measured these out like perfect sort of cycle lines, that this actually is like 3, 2, 1 kind of idea. But you can literally see that this is the definition of the market going parabolic. My hunch is that roughly 80 bars. So this cycle is probably maybe like 45 bars or something like that. And hopefully you can see that. where the steps are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And then when we get to the very end of this move, this is where, like, literally the price is just going straight up. And it will just grind day after day after day straight up. It might last for like 2 or 3 weeks or so. I guess that would be like 4 weeks, somewhere in that area. But what you'll see happen is the market will spend like a full month just going straight up, and everybody will just be gobsmacked. They'll just be like, holy crap. And it just keeps going day after day after day. And that's the window that I'm looking for as, all right, we're just about done here. So I don't think it's following this exact path, and I'm not making any predictions. All I'm saying is just watch for this type of behavior. And if anything, it would almost be better that this actually plays itself out here now in the short term. Then we consolidate and we have one more big push up following that. Who knows? It's probably going to be something along those lines. But anyway, the point of the matter here is we're coming to the end of this cycle. So be prepared, folks. And if anything, you need to be light on your toes. Don't fall in love with things. Make damn sure that when assets move up into take profit levels, that you actually do pay yourself for your efforts. And I have seen repeatedly in the past that maybe somebody will buy this thing down here. Who knows? And this could be a shitcoin or a stock. It doesn't really matter. And they say, oh, yeah, if this thing gets up, if it triples, oh, my goodness, I'm definitely going to take profits. But then when we get into that, the market moves up day after day after day straight up, then they start freezing. They start thinking about, well, if I sell here, then, oh, my God, think about all the taxes I'm going to have to pay. And so they end up conning themselves out of doing a good trade and paying themselves for this effort because thinking about other things, taxes, stupid. So, and if anything, most of the crypto stock that I own is actually in my registered account. So, no tax implication there. But obviously, with regard to most of the crypto and DeFi and all that, there's definitely tax liabilities that you have to be concerned about nowadays. And don't take that shit lightly, because that's the way that, even the most criminal masterminds, how do they get fucked? They get fucked because of taxes. Good old Al Capone is a perfect example of that. So don't kid yourself. It is the tax man that actually usually derails most of these masterminds that can, pull off con jobs and all that kind of stuff at ease. And then it's the tax man that eventually gets them. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. I don't know whether there was any value in any of that I just said, but hopefully you got some value out of that. So I guess the point I'm trying to make with this conversation with you here today, and it's probably going to be the same conversation over the next 3 months, is, well, we're into that window where if you had forced yourself, get your shit together, right, through this window, and you started loading up, well, now is the time when you actually have to start seriously thinking about exiting. And I fully plan to over the, not now, but definitely once we get into the fall, I'm going to be thinking exit strategy. So make hay while the sun shines. As I'm flipping stuff out at profit, more than happy to go and find new ideas while we're in this window. Once we exit this window, though, no more new ideas. Everything goes to cash and repair taxes. But in fact, actually, there was, I've got a whole bucket load of crypto on the books. Nice to see Mr. Trump actually looking less like an idiot nowadays. That's good. And I got my double off here. So I'm sitting on a risk-free trade, and I would strongly suggest you try and put yourself into those kind of positions as well. Quite a bit of green on the screen. And you can see Alan must be back doing his thing in crypto again. But there are even new ideas that are coming up here that I'm like, oh, you know what? I'd really like to take a look at this. Somebody had mentioned this name in the lounge this morning. I have to trade on Kraken, so you don't really get the good at charts or data, but you should all see the letter of the alphabet there jumping out at you. And I was like, whoa, thanks, man. I'm going to throw a bid in on that one. And if we look at a name like this on things like Binance and stuff like that, then we probably see that there's a bit more data. So you tell me, any money to be made with an asset that looks like that? This has got Brian Beamish written all over it. Brian Beamish's school of making money from trading. You can't get much more blatant than that. And actually, you could even argue this is an El Tangonator, like I had said, as one of the setups that I teach students of mine, where we go there to there, and that's your profit objective. And you can all see the W down in here, and it did fire. So technically, I could buy that level. And we'll just risk to new lows. And that would spit up 8-to-1 risk reward ratio. Holy Shiite Muslim. So that's the kind of market state that we're looking at. That's a beautiful example. As I said, I mean, I don't know what, I don't want to embarrass people by naming names and stuff. So I'll just simply say, this was a site member that mentioned it this morning. I have mentioned him before. He has made some absolutely brilliant trades in things like Bitcoin years gone by. So I think he knows what he's doing. And I got to tell you, that's got everything that I'm trying to teach you to try and make money from trading. That's got it written all over it. This thing looks pretty pristine. And probably, interestingly enough, if all we do is we just revisit the trend line, you can see that bangs right into good old 50% rules. And I might even argue that, well, you want to wait for maybe the trend to be broken before you go hopping in and risking your hard-earned money. I always like to see W's on the other sides of these trend lines. That's the way that sort of tells me that that trend line's been forgotten. Interesting how we really couldn't get a big W on the other side of this trend line and had to come right back down. But I'm thinking now, if I go boo to boo, that W is coming, especially right here. That W is coming completely on the other side of that trend line. And we've completely lost this. This to me looks like this is all open air in here. I suppose we could probably do one off of here as well, though. There's probably a bit of resistance now. No, we've cleaned through that. So any more W's in here, that would validate that trend line breakout. But I mean, you should just look at that image and go, gee whiz, yeah, there's probably some money to be made there. And it's interesting how, of course, Taco had that crazy rally following the election, right? That was that. And like literally, you had to have the patience and discipline just to do absolutely nothing through all of that. I think for a lot of my Kraken positions, I just went and started bidding as soon as we came back down against these lows. And then I've just been adding away nanny nibbles, risk management, which, oh, by the way, is the second rule of investing. Never, ever, ever risk more than 5% of your stake or what you got to work with on any one particular name. You could do a leverage trade, right? Joe Sixpack, they can go and put 10% of their portfolio in and risk 50% of the position. Don't break that 5% rule. Or you could just little old lady your way into a name like this. And as it just keeps working its way lower, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. All right, I'm fully invested. And as I said earlier, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I ran out of dry powder because basically I've been doing this the whole way down here. And now the market is starting to lift. So I spend up my money just a week or two too soon, but I'm perfectly happy. I had a couple names pop, so I've got a bunch of cash to work with if I want to go buy. And so, like I said there a few minutes ago, I'm in here. I'm more than happy to buy that W. If price can come back to that level, I'll get my fill and I will join the trade. Perfectly fine. And take a screenshot of this. What I would simply say, and I've told people this year after year after year, is when we actually get down to the point that these things are actually making W's, and we're down at the bottom ends of ranges. What do you think the odds are we had like momentum divergences come in through here? Yeah, there they are. Look at RSI actually bottomed way over here. Price kept working its way lower, but RSI could not make a new low. Look at MACD, right? It made its low actually here on this insane down pump. And then we've actually just been grinding our way, making higher lows successively. Willie's stupid. So really good message that the market's getting oversold in here. So 3-step setup, licks, everything I teach you. This thing's got it written all over it. But take a screenshot of that, right? You should all have your journals out. And just what does a buy actually look like? Well, bottom end of the range, bullish momentum divergence, beautiful wide base. Look how long this base, like you probably heard me say the term saucer bottom. There is a really good example where this bottom actually started in February. And we just spent 6 months just basically going nowhere. And now we're starting to actually carve out higher lows and higher highs. That's the definition of a saucer bottom. But take a screenshot of that. If you're, hell, I'll take a damn screenshot of it. There it is. Merry Christmas, right? And put that in your journal. If I want to make money from trading, this is what I have to see on my screen. I have to see that the market has come down a lot. I have to see that we're doing this saucer bottoms. You want to add indicators in here? I have to see divergences where price is making lower lows, but indicators are actually making higher lows. I have to see big fat W's in price. It's just that simple. DMAX says W on other side of trend line and location. So take DMAX course. Sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Anyway, there you go. It's just that simple, folks. Ironically enough, I sit here a lot of the time talking to you when we're like right here. And it's like, there's nothing to do. I mean, there's the bottom end of the range. We just in there, we just put in big fat M's. There's nothing to do here. Leave it alone. Oh, well, what can you do? Thank you very much. You know who you are, who mentioned this in the lounge this morning. And really, if you work with a good trading community, this is what should happen. The whole 1 + 1 = 3. 1,000 eyes are able to see more ideas than just you working on your own. So anyway, apply the process, as Mr. TBG says. All right, so ranted a bit about where we are in the Bitcoin cycle. I think that there are setups just doing their thing. This is a 4-hour chart on yield corn off a stamp. Also saw like a lower time setup up right here, came in here earlier today. A trader's just got to trade. It's just what traders do. And again, no emotion with this. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. But what I do know is if I'm proved right, and I'm front running the bot here, so this is a little bit cheeky. We really shouldn't buy and trade the bot until it breaks out through that 25 level. And really, it's a breakout through this high, up, down, up. But we had this cheeky little W come in here ahead of the bot level. And I just said, I wouldn't fault you. You've got 3 lows to work with. So I wouldn't fault you for sort of front running the bot. And of course, at this point now, you're just like, okay, go and break that damn 25 level, break the 25 level, break the 25 level. So, because if we do break that 25, then the bot's alive, right? And then, interestingly enough, off of that little hippopotamus coin, This is a good example of that. Oh, not off of there though. Where can I show you this? Remember, I'm a stickler for sort of rules. I can risk money in the marketplace if I have really strict frameworks to work with. If W's are broken, get the fuck out. So, where the hell did I put that silly coin? So, this is a good example of front running the bot. It was a lower time frame setup. And hopefully you can see A to B, C to D. So the profit target was up here. When we talked, I think I even did this on a Broiler Chicken Show. The W came in here, kind of like what I'm doing with Bitcoin right now. And I got 3 higher lows to work with. So everything's fine. Market ran up. It did trip up the 25 level. So I'm like, okay, phew, feeling good. Move stop to scratch if we hit 22,256. And notice we did not hit that there. So I had to sit in this position. I remember when this was coming down here and I was like, I got to take full risk because my move stop to scratch level wasn't hit yet. Then the market consolidated, ran up, hit the move stop to scratch level, and then started to melt back down. And at this point, because we did trade back to that 25 level, that's the system. It's the model that I trade. Go into capital preservation mode and just get the fuck out. Turns out I actually booked a profit on the trade, but that's only because I front ran that bot. So the point being that what I'm doing here on Yield Corn, by me front running this bot, if we do actually trip up this, and you don't know what the hell's going to happen in the future, don't kid yourself. Nobody has a crystal ball. But if we do bang up into there, and then all of a sudden somebody says or does something stupid and we start coming screaming back down here, I will exit if we recapture that 25 level. And in this case, I would take that very small profit. That's how it goes. And as you can see right now, and I've done this specifically because I hear constantly from people that you can't trade small accounts. And I think that's a load of horse shit. Because the universe is a fractal, everything is scalable over time. And because Bitcoin technically doesn't really have a minimum purchase size, it doesn't really matter how much capital you're working with. Remember Brian's 2 rules of investing. And by definition, the actual amount of money that you're going to risk in the marketplace is a direct function of rule number 2. There is no, well, you can trade this if you have a $10,000 account or you have a $100,000 account, you have a million. It doesn't work that way. Your risk is percentage of assets under management. So if you're only dealing with $10, well, 5% of $10 is 50 cents. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And what you're here to learn, like TBG has pointed out repeatedly, is what you really want to do is you want to learn the process. What are the rules of risking money in the marketplace? This happens to be a framework that works really, really well for my personality type. I'm a Taurus. So as a result, I'm a stickler for sort of rules and structure. I'm an ENFJ, for whatever that's worth. Very few ENFJ actual traders, by the way, because we're sort of like think of Morpheus in the Matrix. He was an ENFJ, and I often fancy myself a Morpheus type person. Actually, I think it gives me an added edge being an educator. Because, in essence, you could argue Morpheus was Neo's educator to try and help him sort of fully realize his potential. And I love working with people and just releasing their potential and then watching them flower. And actually, I used to say this years and years and years ago. And I think I'm going to go back to this kind of thinking. that what I'm actually am is a gardener, and you are all my wonderful seeds. um, Especially the people that have reached out. And I actually think a lot of people that work with me, they've asked for help from spirit, and spirit has actually directed them to come to me. um, and I often tell people, this goes both ways. Spirit brought you to me because you asked for help, and here I am. Ta-da! The question is, will you listen to me? That's another conversation altogether. A lot of people, in fact, the worst thing that could possibly happen, ironically enough, for a lot of people is for you to get this information for free. Because if you get it for free, that's the value that you put on the information. And it's just like in one ear, out the other. And then I see you in the marketplace doing all the stupid stuff you shouldn't be doing. And I ask, why are you doing that? And you're like, well, I don't know. Guys that actually I charge serious money for. And FYI, the people that I work with personally in the future, I'm going to charge a pretty penny to work with me directly. No more of this giving this shit away for free. That's not that ends January 1st. And so um, if you are a self-starter and can learn with this free content, great, awesome. All the power to you. I want to make a positive difference in this world. But I will say, just for the record, that actually the people that get this information for free, a lot of the times that's the value that they put on it. So that is a bit dangerous. But having said that, if you can learn the process, then ironically enough, risking money in the marketplace is not that big of a deal. And what I would strongly suggest, in fact, I wrote an article years ago outlining, although I don't really like showing the bastardized article. I'd rather show my own article. Don't know whether I have it though. Where would it be? Evolutionary process. Where the heck do I have that? One of these things. One of these things is not like the other. Oh goodness, this is where whenever I do this, trying to find stuff just on the fly, I end up wasting a lot of time. Fudge, I don't see it here. Where is where are you? You're not even on here. Fudge. Maybe over here? Nope. How about over here? Too many tabs. All right. So it should be here. And here. Do 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 do. All right, now I gotta be in here. Holy moly, this is slow. There it is. Do, 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 do. Oh, come on. Holy moly, this is taking forever. Damn it. Oh, what the hell is this crap? What is up with this? Well, that's not good. Seems all my documents are all messed up. I don't know what the heck this nonsense is. Anyway, I suppose we can show you the TRI version. This isn't my version, but I guess it doesn't make that big of a difference. So, what I actually suggest to all people is you should actually do 20 paper trades of any particular setup just to validate that you understand the setup that you're working with. And actually, a really good analogy of that is what Chris and I have been doing recently with iron condors, where I just simply said, look at, I'd like to get this plan up and running. But I fully understand there's a huge learning curve involved in this. So for the next 90 days, all we're doing is paper trading. So we're basically building a new model. And the very first thing you have to do is you just have to actually prove whether you can even execute the model without making mistakes. Because it's usually the mistakes that actually screw the public over. They don't realize it. In fact, actually, I used to work with this one guy, Dr. Barry Gordon, a million years ago. And he would start off the conversation. You guys are so awesome. You're the best, but you all suck. And it's like, well, that's an interesting way to start the conversation. And the thing is that it's not necessarily that your ideas that screw up. It's that you fat finger the trade, or you buy two when you were supposed to buy one, or you were supposed to place the limit order at this price, but instead you actually market ordered and you got filled at a crazy price. I mean, that's what usually derails 90% of the public. So your first exercise is to actually just prove that you can actually do this setup without freaking up. And a lot of new traders, that TRI, that's priority number one. And as I said to begin this conversation, it means that a lot of the time people actually tune me out. Oh, that's boring. Oh, that sucks. I don't want to do work. This trading stuff's supposed to be all sex and candy. Then, once you've actually proved that you can actually execute this setup without effing it up, and you can actually have exit orders at appropriate levels, and you're like, yep, I'm firing on all cylinders, not making any mistakes, then you can actually go to the point of risking your hard-earned money. Now, what I would suggest, and that's basically the same as this conversation, and I even tweeted it out, that if you don't know what you're doing in the marketplace, for God's sakes, you have no business whatsoever going and risking serious money in the marketplace. You're just asking for trouble. And yeah, you see guys, iron air, or, there's, well, anyway. Oh, I got a whole bunch of money, and oh yeah, I went and I lost $5 million taking a bet. What? What the hell are you doing? You're basically brand new to this business and you're risking millions of dollars right out of the gate. What are you, crazy? I don't understand it. Anyway, so and where I was going with this whole vein of conversation is the demonstrations that I want to do for you through these social media channels should all be very, very small bets, because this is what you need to do. Brian, trying to make a positive difference in the world, try to be demonstrator of best practices. All of you, anybody that I'm talking to on social media for that matter, any of you, you should always start with very, very small bets, right? Like I said there a moment ago, you should do 20 paper trades. You're not even risking any money at all. It's just, can you actually behave correctly? And can you actually demonstrate that you're a professional? Then, oh, look at it. There are my 20 paper trades. I finally got through. Took me 47 paper trades to actually get to the point where I could do 20 paper trades in a row without fucking up. And it might take that long. It might take years for you to get over that psychological hurdle of understanding how this game is played. I wouldn't put a stopwatch on this, because if you can't play the game correctly, you got no business playing the game with real money. Simple as that. So, for the purposes of these public demonstrations, I want to purposefully take very small trades. And I might even argue, I mean, God, I've been trading the bot now for like 20 plus years. I think I know how this setup works. I can risk as much capital as I want, but I can absolutely guarantee you. In fact, I think we were having this conversation in the lounge, or maybe I was with a social media interaction. But when you're actually placing a bet that's too big? The answer is when you look at this risk number and you go, oh, fuck me. If this is wrong, I'm going to lose $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever the number is, where you go, holy Jesus, if I lose that money, my wife is going to kill me. Or, oh God, I'm going to be sick to my stomach if I lose that amount of money. Dial it back, dial it back, dial it back. You got to keep dialing the risk back until you look at this trade. And a guy like me risking $100 on a setup, fucking $100 is here nor there. But $100 to you, maybe you're like right out of high school. You got your first job, you saved $1,000. Well, that would be 10% of your money. Can't go and risk $100. Dial it back. Dial it back. You can dial this all the way back to you're risking $1. Whatever that number is, you have to keep dialing it back until you get to the point where, okay, if I lost this money on this setup, no big deal. It's got to do it. Nore says here, I did a few toe send of paper trades and assume that was thousands of paper trades, but that would be the smart thing to do. TBG, I think you did a shit ton of trades. And it was really interesting watching TBG, because one day the light bulb just went off for him. And then since then, I think it was after I left you in El Salvador. For some reason, after that, I noticed that material change in you. Oh, thank you. Class Insights. Oh, you're awesome. This is what I love about this community is he reaches out, Brian, here's your document. Yeah, so this is what I want, because I remember this baby. This guy's my favorite baby. He's such a cutie. So I really should be talking to you from the documents that I wrote years ago. But really, I would actually argue most of you, Nore isn't, that's for sure. Thousands in German. All right, fair enough. Good for you, TBG. Good for you. I like hearing that. But I actually think that most of you, TBG and Nore, I can absolutely guarantee you both of them are actually at this stage right now. But it's ironic that the people that actually get to this stage, they absolutely have bought my message, hook, line, and sinker. And I don't need to reiterate. Ironically enough, when I ask, you guys are the first person to answer. I don't need to worry about these people in the marketplace, but I can guarantee you most of you are actually this little guy right here. You're right out of the womb. You can barely even sit up, if you may be even able to sit up. You're cute as a button. You're adorable. You have tons of enthusiasm. Your eyes are bright and wide. And, when I talk to you, you're fully attentive. I love it. In fact, I even had a conversation on Friday afternoon with somebody who is exactly this. And that's the reason why I'm actually doing this. That's the reason why I'm here, to make a positive difference in these people's world. Because keep in mind, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Joey Diamond, even Allen for that matter, they will not help you. And for God's sakes, do not listen to that Trump guy. He will actually tell you things and then take the exact opposite trade on the other side. Or, and I think, believe it or not, that they were selling their Ethereum when Mr. Eric Trump made that stupid comment. But understand that this society, I, Brian Beamish, am an absolute rarity. I don't get paid anything for what I'm doing here with you. Nothing. Try and remember that. So, you know what? I'll even, for your sakes, even throw this link into the chat room there. I would bookmark that document, save it. This is religion. And as I said down here, if you really want to learn the process, then you have to put yourself on this regiment. And you're only allowed to graduate out of this first stage after you have actually demonstrated that you can do 20 trades in a row, paper trades of a setup, has to be the exact same setup without making any mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're going to be right 100% of the time, because there's no such thing as a setup that's right 100% of the time. And half of your test as to whether you're ready to actually risk hard-earned money in the marketplace is how do you act when the market actually tells you that your setup is wrong and that your thesis is wrong. How do you act? Do you take it personally and it's emotional and you say, oh, fuck it, hey, no, I am right, I'm not going to get out, I know I'm right, and then all of a sudden, boom, and the account's gone. That's I even 15 years ago when I first started this teaching adventure, I remember there was one person in particular, and we even made a meme about him. I wonder if any of you watching even remember his name. Don't be a this, and I'll give you a hint. His name started with an L. I doubt any of you remember his name. But anyway, that's how long I've been at this silly game. So anyway, no, that's not nice, Kevin. I wouldn't insult people. And sadly, unfortunately, it was a hard lesson that he had to learn. But no, I wouldn't call him names. If anything, when people do make those kind of mistakes, that's when you have to treat them with kid gloves. All right, well, we screwed up, but is there something positive that we can take out of this? Is there anything that you did that was a positive? In fact, I had this exact same conversation with somebody recently where they kind of felt like they screwed up, but it was like, okay, but there's got to be something positive that we can take out of this. Let's not try and totally make it a negative conversation. So anyway. Okay, so blah blah blah. There is your value. Take the damn course, right? And pay for the course, because then that way I know that you'll value the information. But like I said, there are people. There's one guy in particular years ago, Great Dalmoody, I think his name was, and he said, literally, Brian, I watch every one of your free videos. I take extensive notes. He even wrote like a textbook on all the notes that he took from my lecturing. And if I understand correctly, now he's off. He's like a trading analyst at a trading outfit. So to each his own. And that's my. This is these free broadcasts. This is my positive way to contribute to the world, and I hope I contribute a little bit. Okay, now we should probably talk markets and specifics. I know there were a bunch of names that people actually asked me to look at. So, you have my sort of overall 64,000 foot view of what I think of the space. And of course, we're heading into our parabolic peak. So I hope you enjoy the ride. I hope you getting paid. Hell, I know I bought a ton of crypto down in here. I was shilling it out as we were doubling on our way up. Then I went and loaded back up on this trough in here. And now we're back out shilling again. But once we hit that window, that's it for this cycle. And then I'll be looking for this event again to buy back in. Now, in the near term, that's not what I want to show you. Near term, I think we're doing AB equals CDs, and we can sometimes do alt AB CDs. So in the near term, I have a window, a technical window call it a target window, about 135 up to 158, somewhere in that neighborhood. But just keep in mind that the last 4 weeks of these moves, if we haven't seen the face rip, and as I said, I think last cycle the face rip was here. So the final wave was just sort of like an added treat. We never did have that big face rip move. And kind of like the long, slow grind of death there, and the long, slow grind of death here, I think that that's what we're going through right now. This is the long, slow grind of death. And then to finish off the bull, we need to go into that parabolic phase where at this phase, of course, everybody in the public is, oh, yeah, I'm long Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, Bitcoin's awesome. Oh, yeah, crypto's the best. You'd be stupid not to be long and be a buyer in here, blah, 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 blah. That's my cue to get out. But we're not there yet. So, whether it be 4-hour setups, whether it be, I'm a day trader, 30-minute setups, whatever. Actually, this is also 4 hours, so I guess it's the same conversation. I'm still looking for higher. And actually, interestingly enough, the take profit levels on this particular setup, interesting, we start at 133 and we go all the way up to 145. I think that's very doable in this market state. It wouldn't shock me. At the same time, too, remember, I'm not emotionally attached to these. If we lose this 115 level, then this position is closed out and next bus in 10 minutes. It's just the way that it goes. So that gives you an idea of what I'm thinking crypto. Did find it interesting that fact, actually, one of my favorite site members, DDBB, this guy's a boss. He's going to own us all by the end of this. I think hopefully he learned a very good lesson there over the past 6 months about how sometimes the market just has to take a bit of a pause. And while the market's pausing, we professionals, we just got to sit there and just tread water. And of course, if you can buy on the way down, right, and accumulate, remember, institutional players buy down markets. I think that's probably the biggest lesson that this gentleman needed to learn here was that every once in a while, markets get a little too frothy and they just got to take 6 months to calm themselves down, cool down. But anyway, he was posting in the site here this morning. I thought this was really interesting. This is the crypto market minus the top 100 names. And hello, what letter of the alphabet do we have staring at us in the face? Probably, hey, there you are, DDBB. You're awesome. So, I mean, we like W's, don't we? In fact, actually, DDBB, you could do a Foggenbaum off of that W, and it'll probably give you some pretty juicy upside targets. And I wouldn't be surprised if you just simply played connect the dots off of maybe that high and that high and that high. That's probably your target zone right up in this area somewhere. But the point being that, for the longest time, all we've heard Bitcoin maxis, oh, you altcoin, shitcoin, you all suck, right? And, it's so typical this space. I hate how there's so much ego involved in this space. And, the Bitcoin maxis, when they get proved right, they're just insufferable. And then when the shitcoiners are proved right, they're insufferable. And it's just like, oh, quit with your fucking egos. So anyway, the point of the matter is that image jumping out, that jumped out at me today. When I saw that, I was like, all right, looks like it's time for the shit coins to rock and roll. So, and that's just listening to the market message. I have no opinion. You all know that, right? It's just, I'm a student of the market. I'm a student of history. I listen to the market. I listen to history. And there's an old expression, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And I don't think that I actually don't think that it's the 1%, the oligarchs, the banksters, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I think that they actually purposely keep the public as stupid as possible when it comes to history and when it comes to things like the way that the markets move in a very circular fashion, or I guess cyclical fashion. And there's nothing new under the sun here. So for someone to say, no, that's it, shitcoins are over, they'll never come back, that's it, it's a load of horse crap, you know. Um, Everything moves in cycles. And I do believe that this is actually the time of this particular cycle where the junior market actually should be expected to outperform. It's just the way markets work. You know, in fact, you can talk, crypto, but we actually got a very, very loud message from the entire market. The Russell 2000 is that like the best sort of proxy for, the sort of mom and pop, Main Street, if you will, participation in the stock market. It's the smallest 2,000 stocks in the Russell 3000 index. And the Russell 2000 is just absolutely on a tear right now. And that shouldn't surprise us to see shitcoins are coming to life. This is that part of the cycle. I don't know where the hell this damn tweet is. I put out so many of these. Where did I probably scroll right by? There's my buddies down in Southern Missouri. God, I'd love to be able to go back and see them again. Anyway, there we are, Russell 2000. What's so cool about this is if you actually go and look at the Russell 2000 now, it's already up here. I mean, this thing is just going crazy. And, I don't know whether you saw the write-up today, but I'm having the best time in the fucking junior stock market. Excuse my French. They're just banging out doubles and all that kind of fun stuff. Like, this is a perfect proxy for the junior stock market. This is a warrant on a company that wants to create flying taxi cabs. All right. I mean, we're all going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if everybody has drones in their driveways. And in the next 100 years, we don't actually drive around anywhere. We fly everywhere. But anyway, that's basically what these guys are doing. The only way that can happen is if you're in a small cap friendly market environment. That's the only way that can happen. So this isn't really a conversation about shitcoins. This is a conversation about when does venture capital do its best? And it's this part of the cycle. This is more a conversation about venture capital than it is about shitcoins being better than Bitcoin. And ironically enough, I would actually still, I know it'll drive you crazy, but me personally, I would still categorize Bitcoin as a venture cap idea. But that's just me. I'm nuts. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Sure hope you enjoyed all that. So just keep in mind the context of which we're talking about shitcoins outperforming and, DDBB's bottom 100 names in shitcoin land starting to come to life and putting in W's and stuff like that. This isn't unrelated. It's actually all connected. It really is, folks. So anyway, interesting to see the market dominance absolutely collapsing. I've never really figured out how you actually use this on a day-to-day basis to try and articulate trades and stuff. Other than I think it's, as we speak, it's an anecdote that the shitcoin or altcoin market, all that kind of stuff is coming to life here. Do I use this in my day-to-day participation in the market? Not really. But you can see, when this dominance broke down last fall, this is when all the nonsense over Trump's election and all that. And then I suppose when this thing bottomed out, that was your time when the shitcoin bull market was over. Do we want to look for that in the future? Sure. I think it's half decent. But what it does mean is that we actually have to start seeing W's in this to actually start talking about the shitcoin market being over. I don't see any W's here yet. And frankly speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if those W's actually come in like down in there's the 50% rule, so that's WD GAN. But my hunch is that these W's will probably come in things like reload zones. It'd be interesting to see where this pivot actually came in. That was pretty weak, eh? But interesting how it was against all of these key lows. So you can see the last time, I guess we have these key lows. It might be interesting to see whether the shitcoins do stall out here a bit. but I don't see any signal there saying that, yep, the shitcoins are done. As I said there a moment ago, I actually see a lot of anecdotal evidence that the shitcoins look perfectly happy. And don't get me wrong, this thing, it might just go to the moon here right now. It's not an emotional decision whether I was in or out of this. I just simply traded a setup. The setup told me to walk away, so I did. But there are lots of names. Nuray, I was giving you big shout outs last week because some of the names that he mentioned, oh my goodness, they just look perfect. Look at that trade. Ooh-wee. And this is your value trade, that L Tangonator setup, looking for moves back to 50% levels. This now is probably setting up your bot setup, that trend continuation trade to take us back up top. I mean, you just go through name through name. Here was a name that Norrie was interested in there, right? You can even see from 7-9, and look at what that damn thing did. Boosh. This is this kind of market state that we're in, folks. If you want to make money from trading, you better pay attention. And interesting enough, this guy actually just put in a W. Maybe this was your L Tangonator range trade setup. Now it's setting up a bot setup, right? Now maybe this is painting that we head up top here. Who knows? Just trade your setups. Put your opinions away. Trade your setups. Thought it was interesting to see who here has been working away. The setup actually fired a week or two ago. So you can't even argue, right? There's the W breakout. That was on the 10th of July. And remember, I told all of you, where's Jim and Liz? They love this. But I specifically said, sell in May and walk away. I was hoping that the market would pivot low into my birthday, but no, they actually put in a pivot high through my birthday, jerks. But quite often, the market will pivot when we go out of the month of June and into the month of July. And that's exactly what happened here. So double bottom comes in reload zones, bull divs and momentum. Are you going to take the trade? And look at this. You could have worked that order and gotten filled here, 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 here. So you can't even make the argument that, oh no, this is all manipulated. There was no way for me to get in on that trade. Bullshit. There was plenty of opportunity for you to get in there. And you might have even drawn, this is a huge range. Could even see you just draw, let's say, there to there. Quite often on these double bottom breakouts, I find that mountain man levels work really good for checks. That would have been our shark setup, so it never got down into there. But had you worked that 61.8, you would have been filled there. Or you could have just bought the original W. 6-1, half dozen the other. It's just sitting there. In fact, actually, this is the name that was mentioned earlier. You can see that W. Geez, that's as plain as day. Off of Kraken here, they don't have much data, so it's awfully hard to work with. But I just threw my bid in and said, I'm more than happy to buy that at 163.3, I think it was, right? You can see 163.1 there. I'm more than happy to buy that right there. And if this thing wants to pull back into here, I'm more than happy to pick some up. I think I showed you that chart on Binance. My God, that thing's got forever to go. I don't even know if they'll even let me in, but you can see the W. So I'm more than happy to step in if they'll let me in. What else can I talk to you guys about? I guess, you know what, for the rants, I'll leave it at that because we're running out of time here. Let's see. Did I actually buy anything recently here that I can show you? What did I buy? I thought I bought something. I bought that little setup, but it failed, so I walked away from it. But there were a couple others there were actually a couple names that I wanted to buy a bit more on. Look at that W. So I'm more than happy to pick up some link on a pullback into there. I mean, again, you heard me earlier say saucer bottoms. I mean, if you could have gotten filled off of this W here, great. You look like a genius, reload zones, blah, 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 bull divs. But I'm perfectly happy buying that W. Why? Well, because I think there's some money to be made here. Was that the highest high? No, there we go. So I still think that, just if I can sneak in even here, 50% of this entire range. I guess we've already done that though, right? That was there. So now I guess we have to be thinking things like chaos. My hunch is this was come on you. Oh well, it's not gonna fit. This was 1.618, Julian's level. See, survey says, yep. It's not a big surprise it stopped there. But I wouldn't be surprised into this bull that we rally up into that 2.618. In fact, there was, as I had said earlier, Ben Kovchek. His name actually is now putting in a double bottom. So there's the W. I was wondering recently why Litecoin wasn't participating in this move, but there you go. Now Litecoin has now started to join the party. So get ready. Look at the fog and bombs on this guy. Where's 877? If we go into blow off top mode, usually 877s are traded to. I can't get this stupid thing to cooperate though. It's so frustrating. All right. Anyway, we'll go there and then we'll go there and then we'll go chaos and then we'll go there. And oh boy. Woo-wee, $350 for Litecoin. That would be sick. And also too, if we do break out through the top here, then you can do another one. I tell you, man, crypto might go freaking insane here. Come on. Oh, I don't want that there. Confluence. Looks like there's a bunch of confluence up here around 200 and change. So interestingly enough, right? 104 is your double bottom. Interesting at 1.618, that Julian level. If we blast off through the high here, that'll give you your double on a pop up into there. And 4669 is actually usually pretty predictable level for markets to trade to as well. So there's another one that's going, and I don't know. I think this is still in the top 100, but I see a ton of crypto names that all have these W's working. I mean, they're all over the place. And interesting enough, you see them, they sort of pop off at their own pace. So this guy actually popped the other day. I mean, look at that cute little W down there. If you were a boss, you could have hopped in there and made some good money. But there was actually even Sjord's coin starting to look sexy here again. If this W comes in, oh boy, get ready. So, I mean, this is the market state. This T I wanted to get in, but it looks like it's leaving me behind. That's a W right there. I don't know whether you can see that. Down, up. We did not go to new lows, turned around, broke out. And she's off. I think this gal is another one. Oh, look at that. He's coming in as we speak here. Son of a bitch. Hey, look at that. See, I could actually go and buy this on air with you. Looks like this is an inverted head and shoulders. I don't know whether you can see that or not. So, I hope you're ready, Freddie. Here they go. Okay, now I know a couple people asked me to look at things in particular, so I'll take some time and look at some of your ideas. Although, you know what? I don't want to let this, what number is that? 8405. So pardon, what time is it? 12:51. I got to get out of here pretty soon. What do I want to do here? I want to let's go. I don't know, throw a couple $100 at this thing. God, my computer's so slow. And that, of course, is predicated on how much I've got into this. The account right now is at 20.7. So that means by definition, I really shouldn't have more than about $1,000 in any name. And this gal right now, I've got $281 in there, so that's fine. Well, let's go and double that position. You can see I got $400 left of dry powder, but that's because I got a whole bunch of orders working. So, what time frame was that? That was a daily chart. This is on Kraken. So, what does that say? 84.05. Huh, why does that not look the same? Oh, that's a weekly chart. That's fine. Let's go. We haven't got much time. Come on, chop, chop, chop. Let's go. Let's go. All right. What did I say? 80.5. Something like that. Ugh. Ugh. There it is. 8405. All right, we'll go 8406. We'll be generous. 250 bucks. Push. All right. So you can see I'm a man of my word. And it's off the board. Am I going to get filled here? There I am bidding. Who knows if I get filled. Anyway, that was one of the names that I wanted to buy last week. And I had it marked. There's a few of these. Look at this guy just waiting. In fact, made a new low. So if we break out through the top here, I'd like to go and pick up some more of that guy. Told you about the TIA. Unfortunately, though, I don't know whether I've missed this or not. It looks a bit problematic. Anyway, so don't be surprised over the coming weeks that you hear, oh, Brian's banging out doubles, banging out doubles. I mean, this is what I do. So stuff is popping. It's starting to run. So I hope you, in fact, actually, this OMG is a great example of where I, just come in and lo and behold, you're going to find that the double bottoms probably come in off of 78.6s. There's a really good example. So anyway, I picked some up here off of this level down the other day. I think a couple weeks ago. Looks like that's a half decent idea. So very typical what I do. And I don't know why this says bidding. This stuff never saves, but I'm filled on this. Okay. Now let's see. I'm supposed to do what I was supposed to do here. I'm sorry, Senna. I know you've been waiting all day. He asked me to look at DOT USDT. DOT USDT. Boom. Well, pretty obvious where you should have bought. Push. Or you were even aggressive, maybe even that level. That would have been tough. Actually, all of these are perfectly fine buy levels. Right there. There's another one. Up, down, breakout, held. Any one of these three levels, I would have been fine had you bought. Same sort of thing here. Down, up, down, breakout, buy that level. Up you go. So can't really come to you and say, hey, this is a good place to buy here. In fact, on the weekly chart, you can see the inside bar reversal level, same level. Looks nice and cheap. So little old ladies, I wouldn't have a problem if you went in and nibbled, especially with the way that we came down against those lows. Is this thing trending higher here just yet? I don't know. I would be inclined to think that this trend line here will probably stop any bull run, but that's 11 bucks and here we are 4. Could you bang out a double in that range? I think so. Establish yourself a risk-free trade. Nothing wrong with that. That's off of those highs. So my hunch here, you're asking my opinion. This looks like an inverted head and shoulders. So there to there to there, probably to there, then back to here, then there. The only problem here is, are we running out of time? So if anything, if you're a bull, man, you're like, okay, let's get going, let's go. And you probably want like a nice shallow right shoulder, and this happens into that fall window, and you get a nice big pop up into these highs here. I think you could double your money on that. I don't see a reason with that. Once we get up into this range, though, I think things are going to get a little difficult. And sadly, right now, since, we kind of see where resistance is, at any given point in time, we're supposed to ask ourselves, what's a 38.2 retracement? My hunch is that's probably into that level. So boom. Oh, it's way up there. So you might even find that this rally can get up into there. Having said that, you can see all of these highs here. There's a whole bunch of trap bulls in that wick right there. So my hunch is there's probably going to be quite a fight in here. Just, technical analysis 101, we should probably look for 50% retracements. So the problem here, though, is if you come and buy this is why, hunting those W's is so important, because we use the W to actually frame risk. So that means that I could buy that and risk to a new low. And keep in mind, I mean, you don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I bought that Unify, right? And somebody, or Unify or whatever, somebody told me, Brian, oh, by the way, that's a dead coin. Way to go. So if this is the same thing and it's a dead coin, you could find that this inverted head and shoulders actually turns into a megaphone. And we end up just keep walking our way down this trend line. Seen that plenty of times. So I'm a little bit leery about somebody coming in right here because, as you can see, we're looking for things like 38.2s, but let's be generous and even say 50% levels, but we have to risk all the way down to new lows. So 1.81 to risk reward. Yeah, that's okay. And as I said earlier, I think we stall out here at 38.2s, but that's not the best risk reward in my opinion. Obviously, had you snuck in off of the W and there were like 3 Ws you could have risked against. Now, just to move back to things like the potential neckline here, that's a 3-to-1 risk reward. Now, that's the kind of trade you want to concentrate on. I suppose, down the road, but like I said, we're kind of running out of time. If this thing can consolidate and then put in a nice W off that right shoulder to give you a risk window, then maybe you could think about doing something like that and like that, and then shooting for your 50% levels, which gives you a really nice risk reward. But you got to get that consolidation in here to set up the risk window. Right now, this is straight up. There's not really much you can do there. So that's my 2 cents there for you. And I'll even grab a picture of the image and then set that and say, talked about your name at, we'll say, what, 2 hour mark? Mark of vid, something like that. How long have we been going here, Chris? Do you have a timer on this thing? I don't know whether he's here. Like playing crypto whack-a-mole. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember Dot from Cycles Gone By. I guess Chris isn't here. All right. Let's head on over. An hour and a half. All right. Well, it's okay. So we'll say edit. I'll say 1.5 hour mark. Okay. Heading on back over to the daily brief request room. Let's see if there's any requests in there. Harry Potter Sonic 101 NU, ticker Bitcoin. That's hilarious. Wow. I mean, look at these charts. This is exactly that conversation about the top 100 minus the top 100 and W's. Look at that damn chart. I mean, you got to look at that. If you're a student of mine, you got to look at that and you got to go, son of a bitch, I got to buy. I mean, it's the W's just staring you in the face. 50% levels. It's probably up here somewhere. So, I mean, I don't know. You can listen to the Beamish or you can do your own thing. It's up to you. I'm telling you, I am bullish right now. So you have bought at average 5.1. You don't wait for 10.2 for 2x on it. All right. So Sin is replying to my conversation here. It really all depends on the type of risk taker you are. If you're going to buy at 5.1, which would be like here, I guess, the inverted head and shoulders. I think you got to obey if you're playing the head and shoulders, you have to obey head and shoulders rules. And head and shoulders, if we can get back to this neckline, and if it turns out to be that, that's a lot of ifs. But then you have to do extensions. So where's 200%? There's 200%, 833. So you have to be religious about taking profits at that 200%. And really, I know David, he actually forces himself to take profits at 1.618. So I might say, let some go here. Oh, what a surprise. The 50% roll. Do you think that's an accident? I don't. and then maybe let some go here, maybe let some go here. You don't have to sell all of it at one specific point. And of course, there's a million different ways to skin the cat. Like I said, you're a little old lady. Well, fine, you're just going in and buying, and you sell halves whenever it doubles. But that's definitely a specific risk strategy. It's not like the futures traders are going to sit there and say, I'm going to buy a gold contract and I'm only going to sell the gold contract when it doubles in price. Well, that's not realistic. So obviously, you have to frame what type of risk taker you are, Brian's second rule of investing, and there are many different types of risk takers. Take the education program if you need to figure out what type of risk taker you are. You all know little old ladies. That's the easiest of the risk takers, but they take the smallest bets and they get rewarded the least if a market moves. Then there's Joe Sixpack, typical retail investor. Anybody who's taking the education program, you know how that risk model works. I even told you it earlier in the show today if you were paying attention. Then there's like the margin trader, guy who trades a gold contract, right? Trades on leverage. You're not even buying anything. All you're doing is putting up a performance bond to be able to control the contract. And then there's like the options trader. Yeah, they're schizo nutsos. Those guys that trade the iron condors, man, they are a bunch of wackos. Art, art, art. And all right. Cynic King says, no, Brian, you yourself bought it there. Oh, I bought Dot? No, I don't think I bought. Did I buy this thing? So you have bought at average 5.1. You don't wait for 10.2 for 2x on it. If I bought this, then it would be under the context of the little old lady plan that I have running on Kraken. All right. Well, then if that's the case, and how many years ago is that, Cinna? You're dating yourself. Are you sure that wasn't like 2 cycles ago? I can't remember if I bought this recently. I don't recall buying this, but I might have. And if I did buy it down at the bottom end of the range and it was a little old lady risk management strategy plan trade, then yeah, up at 10 and a half, 11, that's when I sell it. Months ago. Oh, why is it not on the list here? Should be on the list. I don't see it. Maybe it's on here. Oh, there it is. Dot. All right. Well, let's see what I did do. Bid filled for blah, blah, blah at 512. Well, there you go. So yeah, I did buy. And if anything, did I sell when this thing face ripped up here? Because if I bought at 512, I should have been selling at 10 and a half. So it's interesting that it's not there, but let's go see if I actually did what I was supposed to do. Isn't that funny? I didn't. I'm talking 10 different directions. Oh, and it looks like I got filled on the GAL, so that's good. What is it? It's dot. So I guess oh geez, is it not versus? Oh, there it is, USD. There we go. Will this show my history? It should show my history, right? And if I didn't sell at that level, tis. That's a mistake on my part. So where I have no idea how to do this, and I probably shouldn't even be showing all this stuff on my screen, but it's not really that big of an account. Trades. How do I search in here to see whether I did the dot? And it should be in the room too. I wonder how I search through this to find the dot. Maybe I can just search through this alphabetically. There's that wonderful trade that Matador loves. Not view closed trades. No, okay. How much time do I have here? I got about 20 minutes. Okay. So how the heck do we do that? Can I search through this? No. platform is so frustrating to use. How the hell am I supposed to go through and search this? No, damn it. It's not working. Let's see if I can just scroll through this. Maybe we're a little lucky. These are all buys. I don't see any sells here. 267 orders or pages. Oh God, we could be here half an hour. Dot. There you go. Bot. There it is. Dun, 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 dun. So the question is, are there any other dot trades here? Two that was back actually February 2nd. So there you go. And how much was that for? 65. Yeah, I put 382 bucks. So yeah, in this one, I would basically be looking to sell at 10 and change. So there you go. Select pairs, top left. So, oh, there you are. Oh, you're so smart. Thank you. Remember, I'm not really that good at these computer things. Dot. There we go. Dot, 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 dot. Where is USD? There we are. All right. So did I sell when I was supposed to sell? Nope. Just did some buying. So I bought about 400 bucks. No, I guess 350 bucks worth. And it looks like that was a mistake. So February 2nd. Oh, where's February 2nd? Oh, okay. That makes sense. Oh, okay. Now that makes sense. Okay. So I bought here, right? February 2nd, right there. So no mistake. Just we haven't doubled it. Does that answer your question, Senna? And where do I want to sell? Yeah, I want to have my order, sell half on a double up top here because this is the little old lady plan. So hopefully that answers your question. So yeah, you're right. And it was on the 2nd here, February 2nd. Look, it even says it there. So just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. So I hope that answers your question. And thank you, Alexa. Way to go. 1 + 1 = 3. All right, let's see if anybody asked me to look at anything here in your YouTube chat. And if you didn't, then I'll let you go. Hello, Nuri, Constantine, Jim and Liz. There's Jim and Liz. Hey, I noticed dog money's moving back up. Maybe your son-in-law can get off of sleeping on the couch. Hello, Archery Connection. Marcus, please analyze Doge. I have to look at dog money. Fuck, I hate that guy. All right. What do you want? USDT? It's usually pretty popular. What letter of the alphabet do you see staring at you in the face? And I think I even have I got a ton of dog money still on the books. Do I have to go through the Sedona Euphoria shit again? Well, who can remember? What was the Sedona Euphoria number? Can anybody remember what that number was? Chris, can you remember? I think that was before I was working with you. All right, that's the whole premise behind and actually, where the hell's Alex Stirk these days, eh? Fuck, he's totally disappeared. But I did see him on Instagram.
Was it $1?
I think it was like $2 or something like that. Anyway,
I think it was $1 under a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I seem to remember too, but all right. Anyway, point of the matter here is I said that if and you know what? And I don't know how much I have this because I know I got a bunch of this on the ledger, but I think I have some dog money in here. Let's see where have I got? Do I have dog money in here? It's not much. Hey, there you go. I got a couple $100 worth. What the hell's all this? Doge. Why is this stuff on here? That didn't work. No, that's not where I want to be looking. How did you do that before? It was like order pairs. Oh, darn. Maybe I can hit the back button. WWR or DNN stocks, please. Oh, geez, if we have enough time. Sand USD. Oh, geez, you guys are just now throwing the names at me. Okay. Is it this one? Let's see what dog money. I think I've got some dog money on the books here. It's not much. I had a ton of dog money previous cycle. And actually I love the Doge story, and the Doge people, they were so cool. And now the whole story's just been totally corrupted. Yeah, all I've been doing is selling dog money. So you can see I sold some at 17, sold some more at double 37. So my next double price would be what, 70 some odd dollars? Not for a lot of money. It's just, just managing this position. I think actually I have more of the Shiba Inu, I think it's called. Oh, where did that darn thing go? Oh, look at how did that, where did it go? Darn it. Anyway, I'm terrible at this stuff. Anyway, so back to the chart. Well, there's a W. And, you can see how the W translated into this. So obviously, Alan's getting ready to do some shit here. Chaos levels now. Let's see where we go. So rally up into this original M top. There's probably a lot of people that were buying this up through here that would love to get out. 2.618 is right up against those highs. And if this thing gets going crazy, like 4669 is probably a pretty good objective. We can just connect the dots off the highs here. Keep in mind, we are running out of time here on this bull market. So probably around there. So yeah, my objective would be maybe if this thing could go crazy, you might hit $1, big fat round number. But I think logically, we're probably going to top out somewhere between 80 and I don't know, 90 cents, somewhere in that area. And probably if we break out through this W, then you could do a fog and bomb there. And yeah, confluence. As technicians, this is the secret sauce you're always looking for. You want to see overlapping levels. So 4669 and Julian's 1.618. My hunch is if there was going to be an objective into this move, that's where I'd see it. And if I'm not mistaken, these are the old highs, right? So if we scroll back, yeah. So my hunch is there's probably a date with those old highs. If it can break through here on increasing volume, then we can start thinking about silly levels, 2.618. There's that 877. That would be my next key objective. So first objective is, let's call it 70 cents. Second objective would be somewhere around $1. So let's call it $1.10 to $1.20. And then if things really get going crazy, but I think we'll run out of time before that can happen. 4669 is up at $1.70 and 877 is all the way up at 320. I wouldn't hold my breath on that right away. So I think the way that I would look at this is your buying window, try and learn this 78.6 level. You can clearly see that was the base, that was the bottom. You want to work stink bids. I call this my favorite fib, BFF. And you can see working stink bids against that level, you look like a genius. Don't really like buying W's that are outside a reload zone. So at this point, ironically enough, if I did want to be a buyer, which I don't, but if I did, I think I would be inclined to just simply draw a reload zone and just say, all right, let's let price come back down into these levels. And I'll see if I can sneak in on like a trend line test or something right in there. So that's my analysis for you. And also, too, I would say that it looks like we're breaking this trend line, but what I'd really like to see to become uber bullish is I want to see a W now here. And, if all we do is a consolidation and it never gets down into reload zones, well, then it might be setting up a bot setup, right? So trend continuation trade. So maybe if you're lucky, over the next, say, 2 or 3 weeks, you get a bit of a pullback, right? We do something like that, and then that sets up a bot setup to take us the next leg higher. So that's what I would be thinking. And your W on the other side of the trend line would be all of this stuff, right? So Hopefully that helps. I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, no, not these idiots. Claude, go away. And just a message to all you botters. When I come home from Liam, I literally sit and spend about 20 minutes deleting all of your posts and, of course, blocking all of your minion bots. So you can go and waste the next few hours posting after post after post after post your stupid shills. But just understand, I will be deleting all of your messages. It's what I do every time I come back from Lily. So just be forewarned. And no, I wouldn't suggest touching anything like this. I think, Claude, you're asking for trouble with that shit. That's exactly what I teach all students to avoid like the plague. You can come in here and gamble. And if you want to gamble, maybe take like 5% of your stake and call this gambling money. And you can go do these stupid shills like this. Great. If you make $1,000,000, awesome. But it's not my bag. And as I've said, if I see any of these kind of repeated tweets from your bots, they just all get deleted. Simple as that. Oh, anyway. Okay. Somebody asked me to look at Denison Mines. Actually, I'm long Denison. Love Denison. DNN. What time is it? I got like 10 minutes left here. So see whether we can bang through these ideas relatively quickly for you. Full disclosure, I'm long Denison from down in here. Keep in mind, I mean, I've actually traded Denison decades ago, so I've been in and out of this stock a million times over. This actually used to be like considered the #2 name in the uranium space in China, and then they took it down to almost nothing because remember after Fukushima, you couldn't give away nuclear stocks. So coming in on the buy side here now, and that's not my bag of tea. You're coming to this very, very late. I wouldn't even really say you had that great of an investment window here because, anytime I want to make an investment, I definitely want to see reload zones. So that would be something like down in this area. I want to be a buyer. This does look to me like an inverted head and shoulders. So I think there is a bit of a trade here. So boo, to boo. I'll just do this really quickly. So it might be slightly off, but you understand I'm running out of time here. There to there to there kind of idea. So I wouldn't have faulted you had you said, well, Brian, I really want to get into this thing. It looks like an inverted head and shoulders. So I'm going to sneak my way in here and I'm going to risk against the shoulder low here. Okay. But remember, that's a trade. And just like I had said earlier with the crypto name, if we do things like inverted head and shoulders, then you have to be religious about taking profits at extension targets. And in fact, I would actually argue that that target actually has just been hit there. And also, too, if you think about horizontal support and resistance, that is a major resistance level. That is a major resistance level. The original breakdown levels are major pivot points. That double top breakdown level is a huge. So this is a major, major resistance point here on this chart. And I'd also say, too, what do you think the odds are? That's like 78.6 top of reload zones. Boom. There it is. Look at that. Brian's getting pretty good at this. So coming in on the buy side here, bad idea. If anything, what I would expect is something like this at this point. Look how volatile that is. So I would expect some volatility here. Now, if we go and W out here and it sets up another inverted head and shoulders, a massive one, like there to there to there to there to there to there to there, and you want to trade that, it's probably also going to be a bullish bot. But you have to wait for that consolidation now. You don't know what the fuck this thing's going to do. Remember, value investors, they're going to be hunting reload zones down in here. So you go and buy that there, and the market tanks down into here, and all I get are messages about how you're suing me. So you can't go and buy that there. That's for damn sure. Wait for the consolidation. If it's a shallow consolidation, 33 to 66, then you can think bought. If, however, it dips all the way back down into reload zones, then, really all you're doing is you're playing L tangonators within a range. So hopefully that helps you there. I will post that in the room. And I will say, please see today's BCS near the end for my comments. All right. Back over on YouTube, we'll do one more. So let's see. Oh, look at that. Look at that. There's a couple of these cocksuckers on here. God, it's disgusting, these people, eh? So, and you're gone. And you're gone. Well, hope you enjoyed participating in the community. Because you ain't going to be doing it anymore. Mind you, they'll just load up another bot. I wouldn't do it on that one. Let's try that again. Hide user. Doesn't seem to want to get this user's message will be hidden. All right. Just get them out of there. All right. Thanks so much, Brian. Wish you have a lovely time with Liam. Thank you, Fruity. If everybody could say a positive prayer for Lily and I, be greatly appreciated. All right, last one, last symbol I see, we'll go. Last one. All right, could you look at usual USDT? All right, well, this is going to be it for today. USUAL. USDT. All right, let's see what you got. Ooh, nice. Nice, very nice. See, these kind of names will make you freaking rich. See, I mean, this is where the Bitcoin maxis, they have to eat a big ass piece of humble pie. Because if and when this thing goes, and of course, there's never any guarantees in any of this shit, that's probably going to work its way up to 85 cents or basically 10x. So you were wondering where those 10x moves are. Well, this is definitely one. And I love it when you see the name come right back down against the original God candle, because you know that the guys who actually pump this, this is where they're long. So they don't want this thing to go down through this low. Right? This is where CZ's long. He doesn't want it to go through this low. So coming in here, oh my goodness. I mean, you do reload zones. This is probably like Julian's 88.6. Survey says, yeah, right down in that level. I mean, if you can get long these names down in here, that's great. Little old ladies, I'd be fine with you nibbling away. And had you been nibbling away, well, your average cost is probably somewhere around 20 cents or so. It's not a terrible level. Keep in mind, 85 cents, perfectly realistic in my eyes. If you are like an absolute shark trader and I'm a boss, look at me. Well, clearly you can see where the W's are. So that's clearly a breakout. That's a breakout. This is a breakout. So being long anywhere in this 7 cents area, hugs and kisses. Like that's where you're supposed to be long this thing. Probably now it's going to do maybe a bullish bot. If it does dip back down into reload zones here, I'd be more than happy to go pick some up. Yeah, it's a flyer. It's a shit coin, right? You know how this game works. Maybe at this point too, if I really wanted to participate in this, but we just don't get that reload zone pullback. Actually, there's a really good analogy of Mountain Man doing his thing. So that's why sometimes I just like to stagger bids. Well, I'll throw in a bid at 1.618 or 0.618. So one at Brian's favorite fib, maybe another at 866 kind of idea. And who knows what my average is, but I'm getting long down in here. Because this did 61.8, we can technically say that there might be a bot setup forming here. So, of course, always backwards. So, do we get 3 higher lows, 1 higher low? Can we see this thing go and put in a second higher low, then a third higher low? and turn up, well, then we can start thinking about trend continuation trades. And that might give us an opportunity to sneak our way in off of that consolidation. So there you go. Look at that. Isn't that cool how that shit lines up? So you can literally see the market is setting that trade up now. So if I wanted to get in on a trend continuation basis, I'd watch for a consolidation in here and then a breakout. And if you can front run the bot, great. But the key is I want to see 3 higher lows. If you want to wait for the reload zone pullback, I'm a cheap ass. I'm a value hunter. Well, as I said earlier, 78.6 is that double bottom level. And that's where I'd be working my bid. All right, right down in there. So are you a bot? Are you a cheap ass El Tangonator? I don't know. We'll see. It'll be really a question of how does this consolidation go? So I hope that helps answer your question. We are coming up at 1:30, and of course, I have to head off to Lily now. It takes me about 20 minutes to get to him, and I have to be there by 2 o'clock. So I think we're going to leave it at that for today. Sure hope you enjoyed the offering. Great to see you, Floris. And of course, you and I are going to be working together this fall, right? So thank you very much for the best karmic wishes, Glass Insights, and if that is your real name, Bart Simpson. And TBG, of course, just being a badass boss like he always is. I think, I don't know, other than everybody give a big shout out to Chris for being an awesome show director, producer, chief bottle washer, and keeping us on course. And slow and steady wins a race, right? Don't take no wood nickels. Remember what your number one job is. We've waited 6 months for the bull to come back, so the bull's back. Sure hope you're taking advantage of it. That's the whole point of this exercise. I'm loaded up. I even entered an order and got filled while I was talking to you today. Hell, you guys must have seen I went about 4 or 5 months. I didn't buy a damn thing. And now Brian's buying shit all over the place. So that's got to be somewhat telling. Anyway, have yourselves a great day. All the best. We'll see everybody, of course, for Monday episode of Daily Brief tomorrow. Maybe consider joining the site if you want to see what we do behind the Great Wall, if you will. I don't know what you want to call it through the week. You can always do a 30-day trial and come and hang out with us tomorrow morning when we do our in-house show. All right. All the best, everybody. Hugs and kisses. The only that Brian said to you is bye for now.